Connie Francis's sudden re-emergence, and even more sudden death, have left fans stunned and the internet buzzing with theories. But when investigators stepped inside the mansion where she died, what they uncovered only deepened the mystery. What really happened to Connie Francis? And what was found inside her home? Stay with us as we reveal the chilling truth. Since leaving the spotlight in the late 1990s, Connie Francis lived a quiet, almost hidden life in her Parkland, Florida home. For decades, younger generations barely knew her name until everything changed in 2025. Her 1962 single, Pretty Little Baby, suddenly re-emerged. The song went viral on TikTok, appearing in thousands of videos. By May, it had been viewed more than 10 billion times, and on Spotify, it had crossed 83 million streams. This was a miracle that no one would have guessed, and the renewed fame was so overwhelming that in June, record executives visited her home to present a plaque celebrating her remarkable comeback. Sadly, the joy wouldn't last. On July 2nd, Connie posted on Facebook that she was back in the hospital for what she called routine tests. But at 87, nothing felt routine anymore. She had started feeling strange pains, and doctors weren't sure what was wrong. At first, many, including Connie herself, believed it was just complications from an old hip injury. But that couldn't have been further from the truth. By July 14th, her condition had taken a sharp turn. The strange pain grew worse, and it overwhelmed her so suddenly that she fell unconscious. Just 2 days later, on July 16th, 2025, the world was stunned when Ron Roberts, president of her label, Conchetta Records, posted a heartbreaking announcement on Facebook saying that Connie Francis had passed away. Her family says she passed peacefully, but the truth is, the details remain unclear. No one seems to know exactly what happened in those final days. After the news broke, all eyes turned to the quiet Florida home she once loved. Built on a 0.30-acre lot in 1995, the house had 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and over 4,100 square feet of space. This house, once Connie's peaceful retreat, has now become a gathering place for cameras and curious neighbors. Some netizens sensationalized the situation, asking if police had found something shocking in the singer's mansion. However, credible sources don't seem to share this belief. There wasn't an official investigation into Connie's death, because the coroner had ruled that it was due to natural causes. Although some unconfirmed reports claim a locked safe stuffed with handwritten journals, cassette tapes, and real recordings was found in her estate. If true, these contents will likely be key evidence of her raw confessions in her book Among My Souvenirs. Just imagine piles of notebooks where Francis detailed the horrors of her experiences and dusty demo tapes of her childhood songs. The police have also ruled out foul play or the finding of mysterious items in her mansion. But why are fans so convinced that something more sinister might have happened? There's the theory that her sudden reappearance in the spotlight may have stirred up trouble, a money dispute between her label, or even over inheritance. Of course, those are just rumors for now. However, as strange as it sounds, Connie's life has been marked by misfortune. From targeted criminal attacks to shocking tragedies, she had seen more darkness than most stars ever do. Starting with when she signed with MGM Records at the age of 17, Connie had several issues getting her career going. So to get a hit song, her strict Italian-American father, George Franconer, urged her to record a cover of the 1920s song, Who's Sorry Now? Initially, Connie opposed the idea, wanting to make something original, but her father was willing to go to extremes to make her do as he wished. According to an interview she did with People magazine 2 months before her death, her father threatened to nail her to the microphone if she didn't record the song. She ended up caving in despite hating the idea, and had no idea at the time that this recording would turn out to be what would propel her into stardom. The song exploded in popularity, and within a few months, she had grown popular enough to have TV debuts. But her father's control didn't end there. He would go on to interfere in even more damaging ways. When Bobby Darin's manager introduced him to Connie and her father, he was only meant to help with her songs. But as the days passed, something else began to build. Within weeks, Connie and Bobby were secretly in love, and the tension around them was impossible to ignore. Franco had already disapproved of Darin from the start, and had done everything he could to keep them apart. When he discovers that Bobby has secretly suggested to Connie that they elope after one of her shows, Franco is furious. He reportedly stormed into the venue and chased Darin away with a loaded gun. After that, Connie only saw Bobby twice. In an interview, she revealed that she would never forget where she was when she heard Darren was getting married. She and her father were driving into the Lincoln Tunnel when the radio DJ announced Darren and Sandra Dee's marriage. Her father, satisfied, muttered that Darren was finally out of their lives, but Connie was devastated. In her autobiography, she wrote, "I wish that somehow God would cause the Hudson River to come gushing in and entrap us in that tunnel." She later admitted that not marrying Bobby Darin was the biggest mistake of her life. Nearly 2 decades after her grand debut in the music scene, Connie Francis had just released "Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree" and was managing to hold on to her momentum. But in 1974, during a trip to New York for a performance at the Westbury Music Fair, everything changed. On the night of November 8th, while staying at the Howard Johnson's Lodge on Jericho Turnpike, Connie was attacked in the most horrific way imaginable. She was raped at knife point, beaten, tied to a chair, and left naked in the motel room. The attacker even threw a heavy mattress over her, nearly suffocating her before police arrived. When officers entered the room, they found her bound, gagged, and still tied to an overturned chair. Connie later said the man seemed drugged. He kept muttering about money, his mother, and God punishing him for what he was about to do. A 19-year-old hotel guest was arrested as a suspect, but no one was ever convicted. Francis sued the hotel chain, arguing that they had failed to provide basic security. She was awarded $2.5 million, equivalent to nearly $14.6 million today, in what was one of the largest judgments of its kind at the time. Her case led to major reforms in hotel security across the country, but the damage had already been done. The attacker was never caught, and in the years that followed, Connie spiraled into a deep depression. She became isolated, rarely left her home in Essex Fells, New Jersey, and at her worst was taking up to 50 Darvin pills a day, just to get through the pain. Unfortunately for Connie, that wouldn't be the end of her troubles. Just a few years later, as her career struggled under the weight of changing music trends, she underwent nasal surgery and lost her voice completely. It was devastating and looked like the end of her career as she went through 3 more operations, but for years, nothing worked. She wouldn't sing again until 1981. This completely cut her off from all sorts of record deals and resulted in her husband leaving her. To worsen the matter, her beloved brother George would be assassinated by mafia hitmen in 1981, further worsening her grief. George, an attorney, dared to testify against the mafia and refused witness protection. A few months after this tragedy, their father also passed away, but the cause of his death was not publicized. Both passings shook Connie to her core, forcing her to snap out of self-pity and take responsibility for the family they left behind. She poured her grief into music, returning to the studio that year to record Comme Si, Comme Ça, and I'm Me Again. Connie even resumed live performances, appearing at major events like the American Bandstand 30th Anniversary Special, and performing in the very town where she had once been raped. But her return was short-lived. Not long after her, Connie's life took another dark turn. She was misdiagnosed with bipolar disorder, ADD, and ADHD. The medications, especially lithium, left her numb and hollow. "It made me a zombie because I didn't have bipolar," she later said. In a 2011 interview with The Village Voice, she revealed the shocking truth. "In the 80s, I was involuntarily committed to mental institutions 17 times in 5 years. I was misdiagnosed as bipolar, ADD, ADHD, and a few other letters the scientific community had never heard of." By 1984, the damage had pushed her to the edge. Connie attempted suicide and fell into a coma for several days. When she recovered, doctors finally realized the problem wasn't bipolar disorder or ADHD. It was deep-rooted PTSD brought on by years of trauma, heartbreak, and especially the horrifying events of 1974. With encouragement from fans and time as a healer, Connie slowly recovered, and she used her voice for victims of rape and other violent crimes. Decades later, in 2017, she finally broke her silence in her memoir titled Among My Souvenirs, telling the world these stories in her own words. For years, her father's heavy hand controlled nearly every aspect of her personal life. Connie later revealed that the emotional damage from the Bobby Darin breakup left her searching for love in all the wrong places, places her father had pushed her toward. She got married 4 times, but none of her marriages lasted long. Her first marriage was in 1964 with Dick Canellis, a press agent and entertainment director at the Aladdin Hotel. Right from the onset, the couple did not get along, and the union ended almost as quickly as it began. 7 years later, Connie married Izzy Marion, a hair salon owner, but that collapsed within 10 months. Her third and longest marriage began in 1973 to Joseph Garzilli, a restaurateur and travel agency owner. For a time, things were more stable, and for the first time, this was what she wanted. And even though she couldn't have biological children, she adopted a baby boy named Joey. But after surviving a brutal assault in 1974, the emotional toll affected the marriage badly, and by 1977, Connie and Joseph went their separate ways. After years of suffering nervous breakdowns, and after her father's death, Connie tied the knot with television producer Bob Parkinson in 1985. Still, that marriage too ended before the year was out. It wasn't until later in life that Connie finally found some form of stability. Around 2003, she began a quiet relationship with Tony Ferretti. They stayed together until he died in 2022. After everything Connie's been through, no one believes her death is just another chapter. Something bigger is definitely in motion. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll enjoy the one on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you at the next one.